Here we are, day 6, reading the one-year Bible, checking out the New Testament, reviewing the New Testament readings, and today we're looking at Matthew 5:27 through 48. Boy, some tough verses to look at, going through adultery, divorce, vows, revenge, love for enemies, and even perfection. I found in my day's reflection what was most helpful was to first think about the role of what we aim for in terms of perfection. And it really caused me to think about when I do things, am I really trying to put the real energy in necessary to master something? Every single time I get into my car, I get in with the intent to drive well. I get in the intent. I don't intend to crash. I intend to steer the car in such a way that I get from where I'm at to where I'm going. And I think that it's that intention that is really at the core of understanding the heart of the verses here. Is, when culture is in decline, people they give up on quality of life. They let go. They let the quality of their life get denigrated. They let the quality of their life slip away. They settle for less than a good life. They say, okay, I have to be a slave to these things. It's okay. Second best is all right for me. But you can't live like that. Always eating and feeding your soul second best and actually be satisfied with life. And Jesus sees this, and he approaches this in the context of intimate relationships. Now, the problem, and I agree with C.S. Lewis here, the problem with lust is not that it's strong. The problem is it's not strong enough. You see, love wants to build something that is durable for generations. Lust wants to build something that's durable for a moment. And I think that was really a helpful insight for me. And the same, then when we move to this question about divorce, if it's easy for people to duck out of conflict, the best realities often emerge after people have learned how to manage conflict well. And the consequence of what happens when families are divided, you just end up with complicated families, with blended families. Now, it's not saying we don't continue to love people where they're at, but we, again, as an ideal, we don't aim for that. This whole thing about vows. Look, why do you have to convince somebody that your word's going to be true and honest and real? Say what you mean. Do what you say. In the neighborhood, we used to say, word is bond. If you give your word, keep it. But you shouldn't even have to, what people should see a consistency in life, that what you say and what you do matches. Revenge. Gandhi said it best here, I think. If we insist on an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, I think that at the end of the day, we will be toothless and blind, if not all dead. There's got to be a way for reconciliation to reach deeper. Or as, Bishop Desmond Tutu says, there is no future without forgiveness. You want to see something that's some pretty tough-minded forgiveness. Look at South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Whatever you think of that. And then in terms of love for enemies, I think that one of the things that's profound is that love is the only force on earth that's actually able to turn an enemy into a friend. Revenge assumes that our quality of life is sufficient without the other person. That you could X out the existence of the other person and life would then be good, better, or best. And from God's perspective, and this is what I think, from God's perspective, God gave life to each person. And actually the best, the ideal, is that each person finds their part to contribute to the whole. Again, this is a call to a standard higher than the morals that are running on day to day on earth. And it's it is in the context of Jesus wanting to display the kingdom of God that he calls out for those kinds of standards to be stimulating the quality of life here on earth. It's given me a lot to think about, and I've really, going back to this thing about perfection. There's nothing that you want to do well, and even in the process of trying to learn to do it well, you don't aim to do it imperfectly. You aim to do it perfectly. You try again until you get it down. So all those things, that's what stirred in my heart. And so I really had to ask myself, do I just sort of let myself get conformed to the standards of the degrading quality of life that sometimes I see happening? Or do I rise up and say, I believe that there's something called a good life, quality life, with wholeness, integrity, beauty, sensitivity, imagination. And do I cling to and work for that kind of quality of life? I think that's, in the end, what's really at stake here. Yes, like Mother Theresa said, it's not easy to love everybody. But it's a lot harder not to.